Hello YouTube and welcome to Synthetic Oil Info. In this video we're going to talk about AMSOIL's Signature Series Automatic Transmission Fluid line. The first one of these we want to look at is the one here in the red bottle, and that is for your, it's a little bit thicker fluid for use in most of your older transmissions. Got the red cap on it there. And the other one is the blue cap bottle. And this is the fuel efficient formula that is primarily used in most of your newer vehicles that require GM Dexron 6 or Mercron LV or Mercron SP fluids, along with a whole list of other Honda and BMW, Hyundai, Kia, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Saab, Shell, Toyota, Volkswagen. There's a long list of fluid requirements that both of these fluids meet. Just like with the OE fluids that we talked about in the OE ATF video, neither of these fluids though are currently specified or meet the specifications for constant velocity transmission (CVTs) or dual clutch transmissions. Those two transmission technology types require a different fluid. But these two Signature Series fluids are AMSOIL's top of the line automatic transmission fluid. They're a full synthetic Group 4 PAO base stock oil. There is no better automatic transmission fluid on the market. These are the most robust, best formulated fluids out there. And they are especially good if you want to significantly extend your drain or change interval on your automatic transmission fluid. So if you only want to service that thing, not very often. In most cases, you can run twice the manufacturer's recommended change interval. And this is especially critical if you have an RV or a vehicle that you do a lot of towing with, a 4x4 that you've got jacked up with big tires and big high horsepower diesel engine, because when you create those type of vehicle situations where you have a high horsepower engine pulling a lot of weight, and especially if you've done things like put bigger tires and wheels on there, all of those things are putting stress on the entire drive line of your vehicle. And in most cases, the piece of the drive line that is absorbing most of that additional power and most of that additional stress and is least equipped to handle it is your automatic transmission, specifically the automatic transmission fluid that is currently in your vehicle. Because your automatic transmission has a fluid coupling inside of it called the torque converter. So when you are moving away from a stop sign or you are towing and you feel that transmission shift down and your engine RPMs go up and you're trying to get that big heavy load moving, and then you start feeling that transmission shifting up and down through gears, when that's going on, there is a fluid coupling inside of your transmission, inside the torque converter, that is putting an extremely heavy load on the transmission fluid. That fluid temperature spikes way up, and when it starts to get up above 250, approaching 300 degrees, which is very easy for it to do in these high horsepower, high load environments, a conventional transmission fluid simply starts to fall apart. It cannot take that heat, and it starts to vaporize, and it starts to fall apart, and it leaves behind varnish and gum and sludge inside your transmission, which then starts to damage the transmission parts because the bands and clutches in there are no longer being lubricated and cooled, and the very small orifices, very small holes inside your transmission valve body assembly that oil has to flow through in order for your transmission to shift gears correctly, and for those clutches inside to grab and release correctly. All of that is controlled by fluid flow. There's electronic, and in some cases, older ones had vacuum-controlled valves and pressure valves that are all opening and closing to allow fluid to go to certain places inside the transmission or to stop that flow of fluid inside those transmission valve bodies. And when that sludge and varnish and gum and everything starts to build up in there from that compromised transmission fluid, then none of those things work correctly. Valves that are supposed to open and close very smoothly start to stick, and so you either don't get into the correct gear, or it allows two gears to try to engage at the same time, or your torque converter lockup clutch won't lock up correctly because enough pressure is not getting to that valve to lock that torque converter up. So then you're creating a slipping situation constantly, which just further spikes up the temperature of the transmission fluid. So it creates a runaway situation where the fluid starts to fall apart, and it's falling apart because of heat, but then when the fluid falls apart, it creates more heat. And so very quickly, you have permanent transmission damage that requires you to take the transmission out of the vehicle, have it completely rebuilt or replaced, and you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. And that repair could have been avoided by you simply using a better automatic transmission fluid. And as I said before, there is not a better transmission fluid on the market today than AMSOIL Signature Series in the regular viscosity and the fuel-efficient low viscosity or light viscosity formulas, depending upon your application. So the heavier loads and the higher the horsepower and the longer you want to run your transmission, the more you need to be using AMSOIL Signature Series automatic transmission fluids. It is simply the best investment that you can make in significantly extending the life of your transmission over the fluid that's in there. And in many cases, the fluid that's in your transmission from the factory was, according to your owner's manual, was supposed to be changed out at 100,000 miles. But if you'll read the fine print in most owner's manuals, it says that if you operate that vehicle under severe operating conditions, which most of us do a lot more than we think we do, if stop and go traffic, city driving under high heat conditions, high mile per hour, high speed driving, any of these things that push that transmission out of its normal operating range creates that severe operating condition environment, and that really starts to increase the workload on that transmission. And most owner's manuals will then say, if you're operating in those conditions, you need to be changing that fluid about twice as often or at about the 50,000 mile range. And so what AMSOIL has done, a lot of companies like to brag that, okay, we can meet that 100,000 mile interval, or we can go past that manufacturer's normal service interval. Well, what AMSOIL has done is stepped up taken it even farther, and said, not only will we stand behind our fluid if you want to extend it beyond the normal service interval, we will stand behind our fluid for twice the severe service fluid, or twice the severe service change interval. So if your vehicle calls for it to have the fluid changed at 50,000 miles under severe service conditions, AMSOIL is now saying, hey, you can run our fluid 100,000 miles, or whatever your manufacturer's severe service drain interval is. I know guys that are out there driving big diesel pickups that are doing hundreds of thousands of miles a year, towing RV campers across the country, or hauling cars, or doing all kinds of things where they are putting on tens or hundreds of thousands of miles on these vehicles. They're changing fluid very frequently because they rack up the miles so quickly. And this is not an inexpensive change, and it's time consuming because most of these vehicles, you have to get them up in the air. You have to get that pan off of there, get that old filter out of there, clean everything up, put it all back together, only to do it again, a few months from now, if you're doing one of these road warrior jobs where you're putting on tens or, hundreds of thousands of miles a year, because you're driving these, the the 1 ton and heavier chassis cab trucks and 3/4 and 1 ton pickups, the same kind of miles that over-the-road truckers put on Class 8 big rigs, because these smaller trucks are starting to take on a lot more of that workload that the big Class 8 trucks, just because they can't get down into these smaller city environments. Parking's always a problem and small, narrow streets. And these trucks are cheaper to buy, they're cheaper to operate. But the thing that guys find kind of a nasty surprise is they require a lot of maintenance when you push them that hard and push them that far. Well, so the best thing you can do for these vehicles is to run the best transmission fluid in there. You will significantly extend the life of that transmission, and you won't have to change that fluid as often. So when you look at the cost of Signature Series automatic transmission fluid from AMSOIL, and it looks like it's a little bit more expensive when you want to pay that purchase price, just remember, it's going to protect your transmission better than anything else out there, and you're not going to have to change it as often. So the end result is that it is one of the cheapest things that you can do to extend your transmission life and reduce your maintenance cost. So as always, check us out on our website, MinutemanPerformance.com. Leave a post down below if you have questions or comments here on YouTube. We're also on Facebook at Synthetic Oil Info. You can like us there. You can send us a message there. And we have our link if you want to purchase product here on YouTube, and it's also on Facebook. That's MinutemanPerformance.com if you want to purchase anything. And if you're going to buy more than $100 worth of AMSOIL products in a year, strongly encourage you to take a look at becoming a preferred customer, which allows you to buy at wholesale price, and they'll ship it right to your door. You can change this stuff yourself, or you can take it to your favorite installer and have them do it for you for labor only. But it's the best investment you can make into your vehicle and equipment by changing out that transmission fluid and getting in Signature Series fluid in there. That's it for right now. We'll see you later. Have a great day.